Hello and welcome back to the Final Flight podcast. We're here once again on our Cheltenham Festival anti-post countdown show. The boys are back. We're going to add another selection to our teams, talk about a little bit from the week that was. And we have two very special guests tonight as well. A couple of lads from the Greenall Guerrero yard. We've got Craig and Saul Woodsy as well as joining us. So thank you very much for joining us, boys. They're going to give us a couple of selections each, and they're going to talk through a few of the nice horses from their yard. So how are you? I'll come to you first, Craig. I mean, you obviously helped to sort out the yard visit. How are you? How you been? Are you looking forward to tonight's episode, mate?
How you doing, boys? I'm looking forward to it, mate. Got a few nice horses picked out from the yard that me and Woodsy work at. And I've got my selection for the anti-post at Cheltenham as well. So looking forward to hearing everybody else's selections as well.
Good man. Remember, you are live on Channel 4. Please do not swear as well. I know what you like. Saul, obviously, you do a lot of riding out for the yard. I mean, it's obviously thanks for coming on and giving us a bit of insight. I mean, are you looking forward to it as well? I know you got a few nice picks in there.
Yeah, I can't wait. Thanks for having me on. Yeah, I've picked out 3 from our yard. Horses will be good to follow for this season and further down the line. And yeah, a sneaky little double figure odds one for Cheltenham. So hopefully, that goes in.
We love that.
That's fantastic. That's exactly what we love on this show. And obviously, the two Stooges, Joe and Rich, are going to be back with a couple of selections themselves. And no doubt tonight's episode is going to spark some serious debate. And I'm really looking forward to it. So yeah, that's brilliant. So we'll get straight into a couple of talking points. So we'll just sort of everyone can give a bit of an opinion on it. We'll start with obviously the elephant in the room, Rich's favourite horse, obviously been beaten, Brave Man's Game. Come on, mate. I mean, what were your thoughts on it? Give us your opinion, mate.
I mean, gutting, wasn't it? But, you know...
I wasn't laughing, I promise.
I mean, it was a good prep run for the King George. I mean, he was jumping like a dream up until that last fence. And then he lost all momentum, and you're never going to make that up in that sort of ground. The winner was was race fit, and Brave Man's Game was giving him £6. So that's probably told in the end. But no, still keeping the faith. It's a good run for the King George, and hopefully some redemption.
Yeah, I mean, I'm assuming you've snapped up the 2-1 that was on offer shortly after. No doubt, but I did quite like Paul Nicholls' face, that little clip of him when he was a bit like,
the hedge like
what's going on there? I mean, did you watch it, Joe? What did you think? We sort of discussed it on the preview show. We thought that might be what would happen if he was to get beat. If it were a bit of a battle, he'd probably get beat. But yeah, I mean, his jumping was electric, to be fair. But fair play to Gentleman's Game. What do you think, mate?
Yeah, defo. To be fair, the race sort of went a bit not to pot, but obviously halfway through, Hoysen was jumping brilliantly, and then seemed to smack one, land on all fours, and then ended up right out the back. And then you've got Brave Man's Game took it up, obviously jumping well, and Darrell O'Keefe was sort of on his heels, keeping him up to his work. And then I know Darrell O'Keefe was sort of off the bridle first, but he was finding. I mean, it was a good race. Obviously, Brave Man's Game is going to be the one to take out. I think Morris has definitely looked at this and thought, well, we've got a Hoysen who's a nutcase. Midnight River is probably a great handicapper, not an unbelievable graded horse. And then Brave Man's Game's giving us weight first time out on soft ground. It was always going to be a test, but like I say, I wouldn't. It's not a race where you'd say, "Oh, Brave Man's Game's lost a lot in defeat." Do you know what I mean? He's ran well. He's shown that the Gold Cup didn't take that much out of him. I think he's definitely won for the King George. Anyway, I wouldn't lose the faith.
We'll see. I mean, I'm going to come to you, Saul. I mean, you obviously do a lot of riding out and you're on top of these animals quite a lot. What did you think to Cobden and sort of the way the ride went? Do you think you were sort of maybe trying to be a bit too easy on him, or what do you think?
No, I completely disagree. I think watching on telly, it always looks different. I think underneath he was probably just on the edge of the bridle. And if you watch the Charlie Hall last year, he sort of into the last he was hard on the bridle and he didn't actually find that much after it. So I'd say they probably had him ready to run, but obviously the main target's Boxing Day. But I wouldn't have anything bad to say about Cobden's ride, to be honest with you. If anything, I thought it was a very good ride from Darrell O'Keefe. He put pressure on him from turning out to the back straight the last time, and I think that's hold in the end. But if he jumped the last, I think he probably would have just held on. But I do think it would have been very close. But yeah, just echoing what Joe said, really. Brave Man's Game for Boxing Day. I think he's the one to be on.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you're probably bang right. I mean, I'll come to you as well, Craig. I mean, what Saul said there about last year's Charlie Hall, where he didn't seem to find a lot after the last. So that's obviously what Darrow's probably thinking. If I can be with him and coming to that last, I've got a chance. What did you think, mate, when you watched it?
I think the plan was kind of just to keep him on the bridle as long as possible. Obviously, he didn't want to give him too hard a race. I do agree with Rich. Like, if he'd had popped the last, I think he would have won. It wasn't as bad a mistake as I thought it was when I watched it again, but on landing, could have done a bit better. But as you say, next run will be the big one, I think.
Yeah, it's all about the King George. It was an interesting race. I mean, Rich obviously loves Braveman's game, and I'll always, no matter what, back against him for that reason. So obviously, I was dancing all the way to the bank when he got beaten. Honestly, it was hurting that much how much I was laughing. But yeah, he's obviously the main threat for the King. So I'm gonna milk this, Rich. You know this. You know I'm gonna milk this, mate. I can't not milk it. I mean, Braveman's game beaten again. I might change the thumbnail, and in fact, I should have made a graphic actually. I'm gutted I didn't. But
you should have made the thumbnail of Nichols's face. Did you see him?
Yeah, I know. Just thinking that then. I've missed it there, haven't I? I might get it. I'll get it made. Get a poster made or something, and get it sent over to you, Rich, as soon as possible. I promise.
I'll make sure.
No, it's fantastic. I mean, the other news really that sort of come out this week. Obviously, we're looking at Aloho returning next week. Rich, you put him up for the Ryanair in the last episode at 7-1. That got snapped up quickly. Looking like he's going to be in the Clonmel Oil. I think it's on Thursday, so that could be interesting. I mean, obviously, you'll be looking forward to watching that, Rich. You're hoping to see him back and fit, hopefully.
Yeah, it's a similar case with the Braveman's game. He's probably not going to be fully tuned up, but again, it's going to be a prep race for the Ryanair. But it'd just be good to see him back on the track. So I think it's a race that Willie kind of likes to target. He sent Blue Lord there last year. Duran and Ken Boys won the same race previously. It's over the Ryanair distance, I think. So yeah, I think it should be quite informative when he runs, and hopefully we'll see some of the old Aloho back.
Yeah, it'd be really good to see him back. I mean, fingers crossed he goes and wins, and he kicks on. And obviously, like you said last time, that 7-1 was could be a massive price come the day, but we'll see. I won't really spend too much time on that. We'll move on to the next section in a second, but I'll come to you, Joe, 1 second. The only other news, really, I don't know if you've noticed, but Mr. Policeman, who was apparently being touted for the Arkle, has been entered into the Morgiana hurdle with the likes of Stateman and that. What are your thoughts on that? I mean, obviously, it's Willie Bingo in full flight. I mean, these stable tours don't seem to be much, do they?
No, exactly. I mean, I've mentioned it before, that at the races preview for the jumps, and Matt Chapman's got a voice note off Richie saying, who was it? Who was meant to be going the stairs hurdle?
Gaelic Warrior, yeah.
Gaelic Warrior, yeah. Now he's going over fences. It's so hard to call. I mean, Patrick and everyone in the yard said, he's a Ballyburn, was a Ballymore horse. He needed the extra trip, and now you're hearing he's an absolute speed demon. And if he settles, he'll be going the Supreme. So it's tough to call this far out. He might not be as slick over hurdles, and they might take him over fences. It might bring a new animal out of him. You don't know. Like you say, Mullins Bingo, you can't predict anything until the day when they turn up, really.
Yeah, he's got that many novices. It's going to be so tight. You're talking Ballyburn, Mirror's West, all these horses. They literally could be going anywhere. But I just thought that was quite funny that everyone's been touting him for the Arkle, and he's been entered in the Morgiana hurdle. I mean, obviously you don't know what's going to happen, but certainly be interesting to see what happens. Right, well, that'll do for the week that was. Obviously, there weren't too much news, but we're going to come to you then, guys, the Greenall Guerrero lads. Craig, I'll come to you first. I mean, when we, you sorted the visit out for us, we came there, you guys were just fantastic. I mean, the video speaks for itself. You were all absolutely sound, and there were some brilliant horses, and the whole thing was a great experience, so we thank you for that. And obviously, it's great that you've managed to come onto the show, and we obviously asked you if you could give us a couple of horses each to maybe look for this season, or that you work closely with. So if you'd like to kick us off with your first one, mate, that'd be great.
Yes. So my first one is Making Headway. Now, I led him up when he won his first race for us at Carlisle. Travelled well into the race. Wasn't given too much of a hard time. There was a loose horse causing a bit of carnage in the race. Jumped the last, 2 in front. Wasn't given a hard time. I think he won by like half a length in the end, but he wasn't really hard pressed. A lot of people in the yard think very highly of him. His point-to-point win, the horse that finished 4th, won the race after him at Carlisle by 12 lengths. Supremely West, trained by Richard Newland. I think it's won 3 out of 4 races under rules now. So the form looks good, and he's working well at home. So I'm looking forward to seeing him run again. I think he's entered for the 15th of November, I think, at Bangor. So I'm very much looking forward to seeing him and how he progresses.
Brilliant, mate. Yeah, I mean, when we come to the yard, a few of you were mentioning making headway, and he looks an absolute, top horse, and that win at Carlisle were brilliant. I mean, I think there were a couple of loose horses that day that were causing a little bit of chaos, so he did well to stay clear of all that. I mean, Joe, didn't you went, didn't you? I mean, what did you think when you saw him? He looks a decent animal, doesn't he? Looking forward to him now.
Yeah, brilliant. I think it was White Rhino earlier on in the day was a bit restless and bustling around and making headway come out. And I think Craig thought he was asleep. He was trying to wake him up. And then obviously he's went round and he done it pretty professionally. And, it was obviously first time out, you don't know if they're going to be green or whatever, but he seemed to get the front pretty easily and then wasn't given a hard time out in front. They were obviously cautious of the free horse, but he seemed to avoid that one well and sort of knew his job without getting, without the jockey getting serious. So, I think even with a penalty, he could go in next time out, definitely.
Yeah, I like the look of him. I think he looks a really good horse. I'll be certainly excited for the 15th when he comes out again. I mean, I'll come to you then, Saul, mate. I mean, you obviously do a lot of the riding out, and you've definitely rode on a few decent ones, no doubt. Who was your first shout?
Horse Joe just mentioned, actually, White Rhino. He obviously won two handicap hurdles last year on good ground, but if you look at the size of him and then he ran on heavy at Carlisle, that's definitely what he wants, sort of thing. I just thought I'd put him in there because I think he's rated 118 now, and I think there's plenty of work in that mark. He's actually going to go for a race at Cheltenham. There's a 2.5 mile, 2 mile 5 conditional jockeys handicap hurdle on the first day of the Paddy Power meeting. So he's going to take up that entry, I think. It's one of them races. Good horses tend to run there, and there might be something better handicapped than him. But even if he doesn't win there, I think he'll pick up quite a few more races this season. I really like White Rhino, and he's come out of that win well. And yeah, he's my first one to follow for this season.
That's brilliant. I mean, that performance that last time out on the same day, that were fantastic. We watched it. It were brilliant. I mean, Rich, obviously your face perked up then. You're going to the Paddy Power meeting, aren't you? That makes me sick that you're going now. But you'll definitely be able to look forward to watching that one then, hopefully go close or win. But yeah, it looks a really good horse. Well, I thought, was it Toby that rode him that Carlisle day? It was a great ride, I thought.
Yeah.
It was Toby, yeah. Yeah, it wasn't. Look, he's, as I said before, he ran on good ground last year, but that heavy ground, that's much more to his liking. And yeah, Toby said he went around there very easily. I think he went up £9 for that win. So, I think when you get a horse like that, I just thinking back a few years ago, I spent like last year in Australia, but when I was at Ollie's before that, I used to ride White Rhino there, and he was very big, very backward, very gangly. If you look at his novice hurdles, he could barely raise a gallop. And then since I've been back, you can see that the corner he's turned, and I think he'll end up rated much higher than his mark at the minute anyway.
Fantastic, love it, brilliant. Well, I'll come back to you then, Craig. I mean, you're going to throw us an absolute gem in next, I've no doubt. Who's your second one to follow for the season?
This is a little gem. So I also led this girl up on a different day at Carlisle, Ante Bridgie. Now, she had her first run over fences, jumped really well. I think she jumped the last just in front, just got a little bit tired coming up the straight. I think she finished a close third. And there's plenty of improvement to come from her. Also, she actually beat Arkle away last year at Kelso. So the form's looking really good. And hopefully 3 mile plus is her go-to this year.
That's brilliant, mate. And obviously we know there's some controversial views on Apple Away with a few people in the comments. So the fact that you've put someone up that's beaten her already and he's going over fences, like you say, I think I watched the first run. She run well. I thought, like you say, she jumped quite well. Maybe she got a little bit tired.
Yeah, it was a good race, actually.
Sorry, Rich?
It was a good race. She landed, I'm sure she was in front after the last, and then, just got tired at the end, but no, it was cracking.
But like I say, these horses, when they're going first time over fences and things like that, and they're coming off a break and that, they're entitled to have a run and be tired and things like that. So fingers crossed she can kick on and do well, mate. And obviously she's miles better than Napolaway already. Brilliant. So go on then, Saul, then, mate. What's your second one after the first one?
Second one, again, try to keep away from the obvious ones in the yard, like you like to be Rocker. I've gone for Winter the Lightning. She won yesterday at Weatherby, so it's a shame we didn't do this a couple of days ago. But she's a real progressive mare. She's only 5 years old. Another one well bought by Dan Asprey, bloodstock agent. He buys a lot of horses for Olin Josh. And she won a couple of races on good ground last year as well. But she's another one as well. When you ride her at home, she always gives you the impression that soft ground would be much more to her liking. And she proved that yesterday. And I think she won off 120 yesterday, but she went around that race like she had a lot in hand. She'd probably get £8 to £10 for that. But I think she's another one that will just keep progressing, and she'll definitely jump a fence as well. So I think she could be one to follow.
Brilliant. I mean, I watched the race yesterday. She almost looked like she'd been dropped in after the last. She was going that easy.
Exactly, yeah.
I thought they were really impressive. And like you say, these mares, when they're sort of this age, they've still got loads of improving to do. And I'll be excited to see how she gets on for the rest of the season and when she goes over fences. And no doubt, if she does go over fences, she'll end up better than Napolaway as well. So I'll just drop that one in as well.
No doubt.
Go on then, Craig. Let's have your third and final horse to follow, and then we'll have a little chat about you guys and how you got into it all and stuff.
Well, this is a very much a hidden gem, I think. This lad hasn't actually managed to win a race yet. He's called Phil DePale. He's been second a couple of times, been third a couple of times. He actually finished 8 lengths behind a horse called Hillcrest, who went on to win a listed race at Cheltenham. I think it's rated about 148, I think. So hopefully, if he comes back with a nice run this season, then he'll kick on from it. I think he'll probably need about 3 mile as well, 3 mile and a bit. So that's my last one to follow. Lovely wee hidden gem there, I think.
No, I mean, Hillcrest, as we know, was probably going to be a really good horse. I know he's had his issues and injuries and things like that, but when he won them couple of races before that Albert Bartlett, he looked really impressive. So if he can improve anywhere to be anywhere near him, I think that'd be a decent level of horse, if I'm honest with you, mate. So fingers crossed, that's a bit of a hidden gem. Fantastic. Go on then, Saul. What's your last one? And then we'll chat to you guys about what you do.
I'm sure you lads might have guessed. He's well documented on your page. It's Jaguar.
Oh, here we go.
Had to get him in there. Obviously, second last week at Aintree. Only a 4-year-old, and he's only going to improve from that run. You know, the last thing you want to do with the young horses is get them fully tuned to win first time out sort of thing when they're that age. But you know, ran a brilliant race, jumped well. For me, went through the race like the best horse, and he's got to be one to follow. Out of the young horses I've ridden, out of all the time I've worked in racing, he's definitely up there with the feel he gives you at home anyway. So I had to throw him in there just because I think he could be special. You know, that might be further down the line. He's actually got his dad's side of the family as a Gold Cup winner, the fellow. I'm sure you remember him. That's in his pedigree somewhere. So you know, he's going to be a horse for the future. But I've got to put him in there because I've got a lot of time for this lad.
Yeah, obviously when we come to see you guys and Jaguar, obviously he just looked a proper specimen. I mean, we didn't obviously don't know how he's going to run, but that run where I thought were really impressive. I mean, to me, in the Waterside's a really good horse, and he did a lot wrong, but Jaguar, it wasn't really just suited him. The hurdles been taken out and all that, and he tanked through it. I thought it was really impressive. I mean, Joe, you'll love him, don't you? And we're just going to follow him all the way. I think no matter 100%. What, he's a great horse.
Yeah, 100%. Like I say, in the Waterside, I mean, no one gave Jaguar a chance, did they? I mean, we had the little chat with Craig, you know, we put a video up on TikTok and stuff like that. Everyone, no chance. And to be fair, I think if the flights were in, you know, in the last, 6-7 furlongs or whatever, you know, obviously it wasn't meant to be for Jaguar and you don't really like to make excuses, but he's definitely one to take forward. He's a big strapping horse, isn't he?
Yeah, I'd have to agree with you there with the hurdles coming out. Often when jumps come out in races, it turns into much more of a stamina test, just like a bumper. And that definitely suited in the Waterside more than our lad.
He was a bumper winner, wasn't he?
Exactly, yeah, dual bumper winner. So I think that just played into his hands a little bit. But as I said, we've got a nice horse going forward anyway.
Definitely.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, even then, in the Waterside, he didn't really jump amazingly. So definitely, I think he gains a couple of lengths at a couple more hurdles. And like you said there, so he's only 4 years old. He's got so much to go with now. I mean, he's just a great horse to follow, and we're looking forward to him definitely this season. I certainly am anyway. And I'll be backing him blind every single time, no matter what. When Craig's horse is on the other hand, I'm not sure. I might have a look as well. Anyway, I'll come to you, Craig. I mean, obviously, thank you for giving us those horses, but I'm just going to have a little bit of a chat about. I mean, you obviously work at the Greenall Guerrero. You can, how did you get into it really? Now, how did you get into the career that you've got right now? And obviously, you love it, don't you?
Yeah, well, it was kind of. I don't actually remember what age I was. I remember the racing that used to be on Channel 4, and I remember seeing the people leading them around, and I thought I'd love to try that. And my first job was in Dorset, and I think I've been in about 5 or 6 racing yards. But this one's like hands down the best one I've ever worked at. As you said, you seen when you come, everything's so chilled out. Everybody's relaxed. Everybody gets on with each other, has a laugh, and I think that clearly does put through to the horses that if you're happy, they're happy. And I'm really enjoying my time here so far.
Good stuff.
That's brilliant, mate. I mean, obviously we come and it was so relaxed, it was so chilled, everyone was just fantastic, and I'm really glad to hear that. I mean, I'll come to you, Saul. You'd obviously do. I mean, I said you do a lot of the riding out, but how do you sort of get into that? And have you worked anywhere else? And how are you enjoying the yard?
Yeah, I love it. So Oliver actually taught me to ride. I first went to Oliver's when he had about 25 pointers, sort of 10 years ago, I'd say, maybe 11 years ago. No family in racing or anything. I'm from Liverpool. Just watched the Grand National when I was little, and I was hooked ever since. But yeah, as I say, give Oliver a message. I think I was about 13, and he was the only. I've messaged a few trainers, but he was the only one who replied. And he just said, "Yeah, come in on Saturdays," and he's pretty much taught me everything I know. And then when I left school, I actually went to work with Philip Hobbs for a couple of years. I was mad keen to be a jockey, but I'm far too big. Yeah, I was at Philip Hobbs's for 2 years. Then I went to Dan Skelton's for 4 years, and then I've been at Ollie and Josh's for the last couple of years. Yeah, so I'm back home now. And as Craig said, I'm sure you could sense that when you were in. Oliver and Josh are just 2 top lads. You could go down the pub for a pint with them, that sort of thing. They're not like your bosses; they're like your friends, sort of thing. And that definitely reflects on the horses. And hopefully we can keep progressing and get as big as some of the top yards in the country. But I think we're going that way anyway.
Yeah, no doubt in that.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think just by the way that the whole thing was set up, you can tell that it's all going to go one way with the team that you've got down there. I mean, I was a little bit taken back by how relaxed it was, and now we're just speaking to we've obviously been racing fans all this in it from this side, and suddenly we're just chatting with Josh as if we've known him for years. You know what I mean? That's what it was like, and you guys as well. So yeah, just thank you very much for letting us come, and hopefully we'll definitely come and see you all again.
100%.
Right, brilliant, guys. Thank you very much for that. So obviously we're going to get now onto the bread and butter stuff. We're going to talk about our Cheltenham Anti-Force picks. Obviously, I mean, I've got a bit of a graphic here that I've just got to actually forgot to load up, but I'll just load it up real quick. Where we've obviously it's week 3, so we've already got 2 selections, and I've uploaded the wrong one. And we're obviously going to add another one, and then the guys, Craig and Saul, are going to add one selection in each themselves as well. I'm not going to be able to load this up right, am I? It's taking forever. There we go. So current teams, this is just my 2-minute graphic. I've obviously got Irocco for the Brown Advisory at 25-1. And then last week I had Tehupu at 6-1 for the Stayers Hurdle. They were both 2 points win. Rich, as I've got that wrong way around for a start. He didn't do stage star. So that's first mistake. You had Fast Vega for the Arkle at 11-2, didn't you, Rich?
Yeah, that's it.
Ignore that. And then Alaho 7-1 for the Ryanair. And it's Joe that's got stage star 16-1 for the Ryanair. And Irocco 25-1, 1 point each way for the Brown Advisory. So those are the teams. I'll get rid of that because that's an absolute shambles. I'll work on my graphics definitely. But we'll do it. We'll sort of take it. I'll come to you, Rich, first. So I've got a feeling that you're going to add a potential podcast favourite into your team before he runs on hopefully Tuesday. So I'll let you take it away and kick us off, mate. Who's your 3rd selection for your Cheltenham Festival Anti-Post team?
So I'm going to make it a hat trick, and I'm going for Irocco on the Brown Advisory, 25-1. So
Shock.
Yeah, shock. Like I say, he's hopefully going to run on Tuesday. Hopefully he'll bolt up, and the 25s will be long gone. So value hopefully obtained. But yeah, he won the Martin Pike quite impressively. I rewatched that again today. He stays on and wins quite comfortably in the end. And then I know people keep saying, "Oh well, Apple's away. You've won it, and Aintree, blah blah blah." But I saw a stat: only 30% of horses that won at Cheltenham actually win at Aintree. So it just goes to show that the fresher horses are the ones to be on at Aintree. You know, I kind of
Unpunches tell.
Yeah, just kind of ignore that Aintree sort of form. You know, when we were at the yard, everyone was saying that he's jumping fantastically. You know, Josh said he'll get 3 miles, no problem. So all roads lead to the Brown Advisory, in my opinion. You know, he's got that Cheltenham experience. I think that's another key. I do like a horse that's won at Cheltenham. So yeah, hopefully we'll do the business.
Yeah, I mean, I'll go on.
I'll go 2 points win. Let's go for it.
Get in, 2 points win. Joe with the 1 point each way last week, absolutely bottling it. I'll just on a second point now. I'll come to you guys, Saul and Craig. I mean, obviously you work in and around Irocco. I mean, have you seen him schooling over fences? Is he looking well? You've got any insight for that?
You go on, Craig. You go.
Well, I don't really see much of the schooling, to be fair. Saul's the best man to ask for that, but I've heard he's been jumping magnificently. And Ryan, who rides him, says he's never seen anything jump like that in his life. So I can only go by what Ryan says, who's obviously former professional jockey, had over 100 winners in the track, so I'm sure he's not wrong.
Have you managed to see him
school? I've watched him school, yeah. Obviously, Ryan rides him all the time. He looks very good for a novice, you know what I mean? And again, he's the sort of horses like that are a little bit behind the bridle over hurdles. They find he's not like flashy at home or anything like that. As soon as they get over a fence, they do tend to improve 10 or 15 pound, and I'm certain he'll be one of those. And I think he'll be bang there in March, yeah.
Oh, you're getting me excited. So you're getting me excited, lads. Honestly, I'm very excited for Irocco. I think he looks fun. I thought the Martin Park run were just incredible. The way he got up. I mean, he almost comes to. If you watch it back, he almost comes to a stop after the last and still picks up and stays on. Yeah. So you think up in trip and fences are going to be
exactly. He's a proper stayer. Once they go over fences, the races just tend to just run. Everything happens a bit slower. Do you know what I mean? And I think he'll be able to travel a lot better. But as you can see already, his attitude's there and his jumping looks brilliant at home. So yeah, all positive.
We're all on Tuesday, right? Well, I'm going to come. I'll come to you. I'll go Craig, and then I'll probably do mine, and we'll do Saul's, and then we'll finish on the massive debate that Joe's going to put into the mix. So, Craig, mate, you've obviously had a little look at Cheltenham. You're going to chuck your anti-post pick-up for this week, and then you'll add your other two into your earlier teams, because we're going to do. Well, I'll do a bit of an announcement at the end about the subscriber price sort of thing. We're going to announce something later on. But who's your anti-post pick then, mate? Let's hear it.
My anti-post pick is another JP McManus horse by the name of In the Pocket. I think he's going to go for the Turners. I think very unlucky 2 runs ago against Marine Nationale. Made a bit of trouble in running. He won his last race at Aintree quite nicely. So I think we'll get good odds for the Turners, and hopefully he goes and wins.
Yeah, it's a good pick, mate. I mean, obviously, with he goes novice chasing, he looks a really talented horse in the pocket. I mean, I backed him. Well, I didn't back him, but I think a few fancied him for the Ballymore last year, but he went to Supreme. Have I got that right? It was in the pocket.
Yeah, I backed him.
I backed him. I think you backed him, Joe, and then they switched him to the Supreme, and we're all a little bit surprised. So I do think if he goes, he's going novice chasing. I think they might start him over 2 mile, but I could see him stepping in for the Turners, definitely.
So could I. I mean, sorry, but in there, I remember his run in the December against 3 Cart Bragg, and Rachel said after the race he was absolutely tanking. I mean, you know, when you say people say jockeys are pulling the horse, Rachel was literally pulling the horse. He was green. He wanted to get there, and he done hardly anything in front. And then it was a bit of a messy one. Obviously, that was over 2 mile for. Then he got brought back to 2 mile. Obviously, he won at Aintree. Didn't disgrace himself in the Supreme, got beaten 6 lengths. But I think he's definitely one better up in trip.
Yeah, and you can, I'm just checking the odds there. You can currently get 10-1 for the In the Pocket for the Turners. I don't think it's a very open race. I mean, Facile Vega's the favourite, and he goes to the Arkle. I think he definitely goes to the Arkle. So he could be sat on a decent price there, Craig, come the day, mate, if he ends up there.
Fingers crossed, mate. Here's hoping.
Lovely, right? Well, we'll go for my selection next, and my selection for week 3 is going to be a mare. Now, definitely after seeing a couple of the races at the weekend, I'm even more strong on this one. But I'm going to go for Love Envoy in the Mares Hurdle at 12-1.
Rain.
I really like this mare. I think she's got a banging chance. And I'm actually quite shocked you can still get 12-1 on 365. I think she's a little bit short everywhere else, and you can use any bookmaker you want or whatever. But I only really use Bet365. But she's 12-1, and I've just been through her runs, and you kind of go through it. I mean, you know, Harry Fry's obviously got her and really likes her. She had a successful bumper at Wexford when he took her on, and then she was unbeaten in 4 maidens altogether. She run good to soft and heavy ground, mainly heavy ground. But she won them all pretty well, to be honest with you, when you go through and watch them back. And she just looks really talented. And she went to the festival year before last in the Mares Novice, and she obviously won it. And if you just watch that race back, she tanks through it the whole. She's wide all the way around, and she comes to the stand side, she takes it up, and she just outstays them all. I mean, you had the likes of Impervious in there. A horse with no name was in there. Has obviously gone on to do pretty well. And Dino Blue as well. So she's beaten some really good horses, and obviously. She went to Fairy House after, and I mean, we say it all the time on the podcast. You're talking Aintree, anything after Cheltenham to me is an afterthought, and it's just a case of what happens. But I think she might have even picked up a little bit of an injury, or it might have been Punchestown after this one. But either way, I'd kind of discount that run anyway. She obviously got battered by Brandy Love, who's gone on to not really do anything since, and she's been a bit of an enigma, but not really done anything. Anyway, you know, last season, similar sort of thing. They gave her 2 runs at Sandown, both on soft ground, 2 mile, 2 mile forward. She never really got out of first gear. There were handicaps, and she battered everything else that was put in front of her. And then obviously it comes to the Mares Hurdle, where she's taken on, obviously, Honeysuckle didn't go to the Champion Hurdle, and come down and gone for the Mares. And they both pulled miles clear of the rest. And I thought she was a little bit unlucky, but she jumped the last quite well. She's just been outdone by Honeysuckle. We know how good she is. She was obviously a monster. And I just think that there's not going to be there's definitely no Honeysuckles in this field this time round. And I've just got this feeling that she's going to go and win it. Now, obviously, a lot of people will say she's ground dependent, but I don't think she is. I mean, obviously, it's not going to come up. It's not going to be coming up good ground or anything like that. At worst, she'll get good to soft. But if you get any sort of rain, it's going to go in her favour. And you know, you go through the market, and I mean, Lossiemouth, everyone's going to be thinking Lossiemouth's going to kick on and be the best. But I mean, the record of juveniles, you know, going from 3 to 4 years old has obviously been really poor, and they very rarely go on to do well. You know, she might do well further down the line, but she's got it all to do, to me, when it comes to next season's Mares Hurdle, if that's where she goes. But, you know, her form's kind of okay, but she's basically beat Gala Marceau about 4 times. And a couple of others, all sort of the same, Zarek the Brave, and that they all kind of mingle in, and she's just beaten them. So I'd sort of say, well, is that crop of mares really that good? We'll obviously find out come this season. But and then Astro Diamond's in there. She's run well against the boys. She ran well in the Royal Bond behind Marine Nationale. She ran okay behind Facile Vega. But then the horses she's won, she won a Grade 1. But if you go back and see, fireworks going off. It's not really the best Grade 1, I didn't think, and she obviously skipped Cheltenham, so I'd have to put a big question mark on her going to Cheltenham if she even ends up going. That'd be a big question. And then Gala Marceau, I just can't have her. I don't know why. There's a lot of hype behind her. She's been battered by Lossiemouth more than a few times. I think that'll probably carry on. And then the only other ones I mentioned was the ones that run the other day, Lucia and You Wear It Well, and who was the other one? I forgot her name now.
Katira.
Yeah. I mean, obviously they're all entitled to come on for the run, but I just think they all looked not up to the same sort of standards of Love Envoy. So I just thought 12-1 for her is overpriced, and I'm happy to go 2. I mean, I'm 2 points win all day, me guys. You won't catch me doing the old muggy each way bets when it comes to the festival. It's all about those big wins, but. Yeah, I'm going to go for Love Envoy, 12-1 Mares Hurdle. I think she wins, boy. She's best of the UK, and she'll beat the Irish. Come on. And that's me for week 3. Only looked at it a little bit. Anyway, right, so we'll come to you then, Saul, before we get on to the real debate. Who was your pick then for, I mean, you mentioned double figure price later. I'm really excited to see who you picked. So let's hear it, mate. Who was it?
Yeah, I think this one could be good value, to be honest with you. I'm surprised she is double figure price. It's Marie's Rock. in the Stayers hurdle. She's 12-1, plenty of 12-1 flying about. Reasoning is, I'm looking down through the list, and Tube is obviously favourite, but he needs rain. I'm sure it probably will be soft ground, but I think that suits Marie's Rock as well. But if you take Tahupu out, you wear it well, she'll go for the mares. Delane, Imperial Pass won't run here. Be clear about it. In Cantabruno, I'd have Marie's Rock as a far better horse than these. She's only had one try at 3 miles, and she's looked all her life like that's what she's wanted. If you go back and watch the Aintree race where she was second to Cider Burley, she travelled like the best horse. Come there to challenge Foreign Ports at the last. Nico was holding on to her. Cider Burley's come with a wet sail down the outside, and he's 10 and he'll be 12 next March. He's one of them horses. He's an enigma, but you'd have to take him on. And yeah, I'm surprised. I was very surprised at the price of her. She feels like she's been around forever, but she's only actually had 15 career starts. She's won 8 of those. Very consistent mare. And yeah, I just think she's very unexposed at 3 miles, and could see her going off 3-4-1 in the day. I think she'll win everything in England before March anyway.
That's a good
Marie's
point,
Rock,
mate. I think when I mentioned Teopo the last week, I sort of mentioned her as one of the main. She's one of the main dangers. Definitely, it's a bit of a weak division, especially with the likes of sort of Time Hill and all them bombing out other day. So I think she's definitely going to be up there. I think it's a great pick, to be honest with you. I think that that's the one that's going to run me close anyway.
Hopefully I win.
We shall see. But no, it's a good race. I'm looking forward to it. Fantastic. Right. Coming to the last one. Joe, I'll just let you take it away, mate. Who is your week 3 pick?
My week 3 pick is the bomb-proof, unbeaten Marine Nationale for the Arkle. Now, obviously, it's a massive split, isn't it? I think there'll be a split in here. Craig, what do you think? Who do you
Not sure, mate.
Not sure. I know Rich is for sale. Saul?
I think if it jumps well, I think it's a certainty, to be honest with you, Joe. I'm with you there.
Yeah, I love it. And James, I know you're siding with for sale.
I'm siding in the Fast Vega camp, mate, but I'll let you crack on.
I just think for a horse, last season, Barry said a lot of times, a horse who's been non-stop all the way through and got a break, from Christmas to Cheltenham to sort of freshen up. Just the mindset of the horse, you can place the horse anywhere. And if you go back to the run in December at Fairyhouse, absolutely clattered the last against Irish Point in soft ground as well. And I know a lot of people said before that, good ground horse, went off 11-2, travelled all over them, full of it, and then hammered the last. And we've seen it this week. Braveman's Game hammered the last, couldn't get back up. This horse just went. And then, you look at Cheltenham and you say, for sale Vegas, battered the last. But if you go back to the race against Irish Point when Marine battered the last, how much did that horse have left? Got the stick out, give it 2 taps behind and just, got there. Obviously, Irish Point's won twice after that. Had 3 runs over hurdles, won 2 grade 1s. You can't really get much better than that, can you? Only had 5 career starts, unbeaten. The improvement's been unbelievable. She's had a proper summer. He has had a proper summer off now to freshen up. I think Barry's been so set on the Arkle even before Constitution Hill made their mind up. I really do think this horse, albeit is short at the minute, will be a lot shorter on the day, I think.
Yeah, obviously, I'm going to put this little segment in next just to see if it works. Hopefully, we don't get copyrighted, but I thought I'd put this in for you, Joe. You can revel in this. If you want to talk us through what's happening here, mate.
Yeah, so if you look, Saul's probably the one, but Paul Townend looks like he's sort of, asking to go, and Marine sort of got the eyes on going to the last. I think definitely Marine Nationale's sort of getting there nicely. And if you look now, has the whip come out? Not yet. There, little tap. Nothing. Don't get me wrong. He's obviously been giving it something to get up that hill, but I think he's going away. He hasn't really been. He's definitely been asked, but obviously after the last, he wasn't even walking up before that. I think he was just keeping Marine Nationale near for sale. As soon as he landed the last, I think he was definitely confident that he was getting there. Obviously, a £5 claimer going into the festival up against Paul Townend, and he's just sat there. you can't really argue with that. I mean, Facile has, smashed the last there, but for me, going to the last stand, I know in running, I think Marine Nationale was trading less in running than Facile Vega. For me, as long as he jumps well, obviously there's loads of questions to be asked before now in Cheltenham. I know Facile Vega was odds on before he sort of blew up just after Christmas in February in Ireland. But for me, if this horse takes to jumping as well as, trainer says, I think this horse is bomb-proof.
Well, I mean...
Wait, 1 second. Can I just ask? I'd like to see what Saul's sort of opinion on, going to the last there, because obviously he rides out. Saul, what did you think?
I mean, fully agree with you. And I think they said after as well, then he was holding on to him. I think he was just using Paul with a target on his back, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
Thought he had loads left. And as soon as he got into him, and don't get me wrong, these are very good. These are top level horses. To put 4 or 5 lengths between himself and the field after the last like that is a proper performance. And to be honest, after watching that little clip there, I think I'm going to go and back him straight after this.
Oh, I am excited.
I suppose I'll come in with a little bit of a question for you as well, Saul. Obviously, you would obviously know horses going from hurdles to fences when they're not necessarily bred to do that. Would that not be an issue? Not an issue, a worry of him going over fences? I mean, obviously he needs to be able to jump. Do you think he'll be able to do it?
I think he will. Yeah, I don't see any reason why he wouldn't. He seems to jump hurdles well. Obviously, only Barry O'Connell knows that at the minute, but I don't see any reason why he wouldn't. He's a big, tall horse. He looks like he's got a lot of scope, so we'll have to see. But I've got a question for you. What price do you think he'd be if Willie Mullins trained him and he won the Supreme like that?
That is a very good question, and he would probably be a lot shorter than 11-4.
Yeah, I think he would. I think
it'd
it'd be
be more
the
like
way around.
7-4, I think, if Mullins trained him.
I agree. And to be honest, you say he's short now, and I was thinking that before we started chatting, but I'm just having a look through the betting now. He's going to probably go off odds on if he jumps well, isn't he? So
Craig,
probably
is
is worth taking from 11-4.
What?
Did you? Wait there. Did you say your phone's on 1%?
I need to go. My phone is at 1%.
Right. No,
it's not good enough. It's not good enough, Craig. We've paid for an hour.
Terrible. The big bucks.
All right, well, Craig, if you want to get off, mate, if your phone's going to die, thank you for coming.
Thank you
finish
for
off.
inviting me on, lads.
We do appreciate your little insight. And are you Team Facile or Marine?
Team Facile, baby.
Get in.
Come on, Saul.
You take care, Craig, and we'll see you next time, mate.
Yeah. See you later, Craig. Cheers, mate. Thank you.
See you, Craig. See you later.
Fantastic. Just to finish this off, then I'll come to you, Rich. Obviously, you put Facile Vega up first week for it. I mean, what are your thoughts? I mean, Marine's not going to jump a fence anyway, like Facile is, surely.
Yeah, exactly. All the talk out the Mullins camp is that he's by Vega and they only get better with age. He's bred for jumping. Watching that back, he loses all momentum again. Like the last bit, like a brave man's game I did at the weekend. I expect them to be a lot closer in the Arkle. Like I say, I just think Facile is bred to jump. I just think he wins. I just think he improves going over a fence more than I think Marine Nationale would. But it's all about opinions. That's why we love it.
2 points win for me as well, James. 2 points.
I thought you might run each way, George, to be safe.
The one interesting thing for me was as soon as Marine Nationale won that, he straight away said he's coming. He's back next year and he's going to the Arkle. So I think he must have an idea. Obviously, all the trainers have an idea. Saul have an idea, looking at a horse, straight away laying eyes on him. If he's a hurdler, is he going to go chasing type of thing? For me, he's probably always had it in mind. So I wouldn't really take it as a negative. When you said about him not bred for it, I think he called it before Constitution Hill ran in there. Obviously, we knew he was special anyway, but before he, absolutely bolted up in the champion hurdle, and then he confirmed that he was going back there next year. So I think this has always been the plan. But like I say, it's going to be exciting. Fingers crossed. I am hoping that both horses. I'm hoping both horses don't clash before Cheltenham, but they both do their own thing and they're both impressive and they both get there on the day. And then we do really see who is the best. Not like last year where Facile sort of blew up and the markets were all over.
I can't wait for Marine National to bomb out and he then goes to the champion hurdle because he can't jump a fence.
Like last year when he won every race.
A fun question would be: if he, let's say, he comes out and jumps like a bag of spanners, do you think they would revert back to hurdles for a clash with Constitution? Would you fancy him then, Joe, or not?
I don't. I mean,
he's not.
Whoa. I'm not sure. I thought it were best thing since sliced bread.
It's a big statement, isn't it? It's like, if you said that about Fasal Vega, I think he seemed to look tired over 2 miles, so I can't see him getting, jumping over. And Marine National is, he's got an unbelievable turn of foot over 2 mile. Like Saul said there, to put that much room and space in between a top class horse, by the way. Marine National
just made an error at the last, don't forget.
Marine National is who was in front as well after the last, still when they landed. A horse who was well touted. I think Patrick even said it, after the run in February, they sort of ridden him like a machine out from the front and thought he would just keep going and going and going. And he never, but he's obviously a very, very talented horse. And obviously that's why Ronnie, you're discussing it. But Saul, what do you think? Obviously we're having the debate. Final words.
All in.
GSI Marine National. Put it this way though, if he does come out, also go on.
I'm just saying, like if he didn't jump well, I'm sure they go back ahead. But I'm sure you're all in agreement. Nothing will get near Constitution Hill, so I think he's definitely done the right thing. But I just think Fasal Vega, I loved him. I actually backed him at Cheltenham myself, but he's a bit keen, isn't he? He does things wrong sometimes, and I think down the line, I think that's only going to hinder him, to be honest with you. But as I said before, going chasing, that can make a massive difference. But I just think Marine National will have too much class, and I think he'll jump. So yeah,
it's going to be one of them, isn't it? Where we've all seen it with the anti-post markets, where they collapse and go right out. If Marine National comes out and gets beat first time, he's probably going to be 5-1. However, if he comes and he jumps very well and he goes and wins by 10, 15 lengths, he's going to be 6-4 something, isn't he? Do you know what I mean?
Exactly that, yeah.
I do think it'll be one of them where, well, for both, they'll probably win. Even if they don't even jump that overly impressively, they'll still be winning the novice chases and things, because there's the same old. I mean, look at El Fabiolo. He didn't really jump very well in the early days, did he? And look at him now. So it's certainly going to be interesting. And I don't know if they will clash. I mean, we know Barry O'Connell. He didn't really take the usual route to the Supreme, did he? Had that long break. So it'll be interesting to see how he campaigns him this year, to be fair. If he goes a little bit more on the conventional side, we'll see. But it's certainly going to be one to... Hopefully they both get there unbeaten and we get to see a good clash. And we'll all put our money on the line and there's pride on the line, and we'll see what happens. Exciting times. Right, boys, that's it then. And I'll definitely be sorting out the thumbnail before this goes out tomorrow night as well. So I've got a bit of time, so I'll have some fun with that, I think, Rich, on your behalf. But no, that's it. Yeah. So, in fact, I've just remembered it. I'm supposed to be pretending it's yesterday. So, anyway, right. So that's it for week 3. Obviously, what we're going to do, I know a few people put in the comments. We're starting to put their teams in the comments. So if you do subscribe and watch the episode, please do in the comments put your teams. We're going to have like a bit of a best subscriber team prize, which we're going to announce week 5 what the prize is. So it'll be something pretty decent. So you can all get involved. Obviously, it's just stick your teams in there in the comments, and you've got probably till about week 10 to enter. We might do it a little bit longer. Just obviously keep a tab on it and be able to keep a record of it, and we'll go from there. But we'll have a bit of a prize. So make sure you like, comment, and subscribe your teams. That's it. Yeah, obviously, we're back on Thursday for the another preview, another weekend preview. Obviously, we did get a bit of racing this weekend, so we should hopefully have the worst of the weather out of the way, and we'll have a decent run of weekend. So fingers crossed. So yeah, we'll be live at 7 p.m. And obviously next week as well, we're going to be back at Monday. Every Monday at 6, we'll be back and hopefully get a few more guests on. People like Saul, who's come on and give his time for us, which is fantastic. Some brilliant insight into a few good things there. And actually having people with a bit of knowledge on is a good, rather than us three talking absolute.
Don't know about that, but thanks for having me on. It's lovely to speak to you all. I thoroughly enjoyed that. Yeah, and anytime you want me again, I'll be happy to do it again. No problem.
That's fantastic. We'll definitely be having you again, 100%. There'll definitely be a few more debates to have. But if you are going to continue to be on Joe's team, then you might not get on.
I'll tell you what we'll have to do when we review the week that was for Jaguar, we'll get Saul. When Jaguar runs, we'll get Saul on.
Yeah, we'll get you on and when Marine runs and things like that. When he jumps like a bag of spanners and he don't get around. We'll get
I'm not coming on for that one if he does that.
I'm texting him. He's not replying. I don't know why. Oh, fantastic. Right, boys, thank you very much for coming on. That's it for an episode. Obviously, we'll see you all next week. As always, like and subscribe. Follow us all on Twitter or X. We're on Spotify a lot. So hopefully you've enjoyed this week's episode. And we'll see you again next week for week 4. Thank you, guys, and goodbye.
Cheers. See you later.